Welcome to the Voices of the Goddess podcast. We believe that there is a goddess inside each and every one of us. When we use our voice to share that goddess, we support and uplift each other. Join us each week as we interview women to receive the message of their goddess within. Hello, I am Julietta, the magical PT, joined here with my partner in crime, Allyson, the lifestyle transformation coach. Join us each week as we interview amazing women in the community to share their insights and how they use their tools to achieve their desires. Today, we are joined by a really amazing woman, Corrine Becker. Welcome to our show. Will you please introduce yourself and tell everybody what kind of amazing, wonderful stuff you are up to?
Absolutely. Thank you, Julietta. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here, Allyson, as well. So I am a self-discovery life mastery trainer, what does that mean? I'm a human potential trainer. And we train people in a very simple, natural, deliberate, and effective strategy to be present and aware, to quiet and focus what can be a incessantly thinking mind, to release stress, to release limiting beliefs and sabotage patterns that get in the way of us being our full potential of living in the zone and the flow as our ideal life. And my journey in my own life has led me to what I do now and really appreciating everything that I've experienced in my life and here to share this with others.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you, Corrine. I've done not all, but a lot of the self-discovery life mastery training with Corrine, and it is amazing work. I highly recommend it to everyone out there listening. So, but with that said, we're going to jump right into our Wonder Women questions. So the first one, Corrine, is, and Corrine, you have to show everybody the mug you're drinking from this morning. It's like, woo, totally in synchronicity with our show. Yes, I love it.
So those of you who are just listening and can't see it, she has a classic Wonder Woman mug. It's awesome.
Yes. So Corrine, what is your superpower, or what would it be if you were to choose it?
Wow. That's such a powerful question. What I would say now on my 61 journey in this life is to be uniquely myself in my own flavor. And that's what I train other people to be, instead of comparing ourselves, because when we compare ourselves to others, we feel less than, we feel not enough, we feel we're wrong in one way or another. And the more we own our greatness in our own unique flavor, that is such a powerful, magical power.
Yes, it is. Too many people are out there trying to be what they think other people expect them to be, and
it's exhausting, and we're robbing ourselves of being who we're meant to be.
Yeah, because everybody has such unique gifts to share, and these are all gifts that the world needs. And be you. I love that.
And that's something I wish that I had learned younger. You know what I mean? So if you're younger, if you're in your 20s and 30s and you're listening to this or seeing this, do the work you need to do to get to that you are special and unique. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, that's one thing, and I don't really remember exactly at what age, I started along this path of awakening, enlightening, whatever. And I always remember thinking man, I wish I learned this so much longer ago. And, but there were always women older than me that was man, I wish I learned it when I was at your age. So you're way ahead of the game. And I think now this is all coming out it's so much more out there and there's easier access to it, especially in this day of the internet and everything. So yeah, for these young people, get on it, you know, and like you, Allyson, and Corrine, you both have children. Like, I'm sure that you like started, you know, gifting your kids with this knowledge when they were children. So hopefully this results in the evolution of humanity.
Well, and also when we see something in someone else that, wow, I love how she dresses, or I love how she speaks, or I love, you know, her success in her business, that be inspired by it and take it on for yourself. And that's a powerful voice that women need to hear in our beingness as women, in being inspired by others rather than competing, comparing.
Yeah. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah. Too many women are competing. Don't need to. There's plenty out there for everybody. Don't need to compete.
100%. Let's lift each other up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Let's get on to our next question, Corrine, is what is a book that has greatly influenced your life?
Another great question, Julietta. So the way I will answer that is I have 3 children. I have a daughter and 2 sons. And I inspired my sons with a different book than if I were to ask myself, what book would I give my daughter? And what book really stands out for me that I would speak to for all women out there? It would be Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And the way I read this book was in my minivan, my Honda Odyssey, which was a magical van I had for 13 years. It had a cassette player. And that cassette player, I'm looking back 20 something years ago. That cassette player was where I heard what spoke to me at the time. And Clarissa Pinkola Estes, the author of this, is a woman who speaks about being your own unique version of yourself, what I just shared earlier, the wild woman archetype. And it was a very groundbreaking book. What inspires me about her is her voice, her physical voice, how she speaks. And she's authentic to herself. And that's why I would recommend Women Who Run with the Wolves.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I've not heard of that one. I'll have to give it to my daughter too.
Yeah, I've heard of the book, and like this is a reminder, like you need to read it because I've not read it yet. So I'm on it now. Thank you, Corrine.
And you know what? It's a book where she talks about the archetypes of the wild woman. Passionate, expressive woman. And she's a great storyteller. And that to me is a lost art. And that's what speaks to me, to be to tell stories. And that's how we really learn, from stories. So yeah, so that's another thing that I really appreciate about that book, especially the audio version of it.
Oh, maybe I need to get it in the audio version. That's cool.
Nice. That's like my primary source of reading. I was so resistant to doing audiobooks because, you know, for me, there's something about holding the book, smelling the book, touching it, feeling like that was, you know, part of the power of the book. And I was super resistant. And then there was a time where like I had to get a lot of reading done. And I was just like, when is this going to happen? And I had to open myself up to listening to books like while I was in the car, because I was like, okay, this is a time where I can listen. And I actually ended up really liking it. Like I didn't think I would, but you know, so now I do both. I read actual physical books, but most of the time when I'm in my car, I have audiobooks playing. So definitely going to add this one to the list. Thank you, Corrine.
Awesome. My feeling is I'm just never in my car anymore.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I drive my car maybe once a week, which stinks. But I know for you, Julietta, you're still going into your office.
Yeah, and even though my commute is very, very short, I'm very close to my home. I'm like amazed at how quickly I get through books. Like it doesn't, I'm like, wow, that one's finished already. I feel like I just started it. So yeah, it doesn't, you don't have to be in your car for hours, you know?
Right. Well, and another thing I'll add about books is, you know, and Julietta, I really appreciate what you said. I do love the smell, the feel of a book, holding it in my hand. books do not give you the tools. And, you know, I spent lots of money on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. And I got great wisdom from them as I read them, but they didn't give me the tools to manage myself and my life deliberately. And that's what I train people in now. I train people in the tools for exactly what you are creating in this podcast: self-care, being your own hero, and giving yourself what you want in your life. So yeah, you know, books have a great value. What I would say now is really more biographies, autobiographies, books that are about people that are inspiring, whether it's a man or a woman. I know we're talking about women today, but and that's why I chose Women Who Run with the Wolves, that Clarissa Pinkola Estes, herself, her life, who she is, and how she is, speaks to me. So that's why I'm sharing about her today.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So you mentioned self-care. That is our next question, because it's something that we get so busy, and a lot of times we forget to do it. But what is your favorite self-care practice?
Yeah, and I really appreciate what you're exploring in this podcast is, you know, we could do things, but it's really in the being. And what I've learned on my journey, what I train others in, is it's really about the human being versus the human doing. So sure, we can get a massage, we can get a, you know, whatever it is that we do, but the more we're present in the moment, when we have tools to really be present, anywhere we are, anything we're doing is going to be at such a more fulfilling level, such a more purposeful level. And that's what tools are for self-care. And how I would define it really is personal responsibility, that if I look to something or someone out there to give me anything, whether it's happiness, fulfillment, then that's dependent. But the more we each take personal responsibility to give ourselves what we want, to fulfill ourselves, it takes a whole lot of pressure off other people, and it's much more fulfilling. And it's about being a sovereign, self-sufficient, independent woman, which is how I see Wonder Woman, which I know is the theme of this. So the more we look to ourselves for that fulfillment, instead of something, because it's exhausting to change what's out there, to seek for it out there. And the more we decide what's important to us, whatever that is, fulfillment, passion, contribution, freedom, the more we're feeling that on the inside, we're going to create those circumstances on the outside. And that's the ultimate self-care.
Beautiful. I like that.
I mean, like, nothing more to say there. Yes.
So our last question, Corrine, you know, we did some research with women out there before we started this podcast. And one of the big things that they wanted help with is how to create accountability in their lives. So the question is, how do you create accountability in your life?
Wow, sure. And I think each of the other questions, it's pretty much the same answer. It's personal. You know, for me, it's having the tools for personal responsibility. We all know we want to be responsible at some level, maybe not. But when we do have the tools to be aware of whatever it is that's getting in our way, that is personal responsibility, and that's accountability. To looking to ourselves for the answers instead of, you know, we talked about books earlier. You know, I spent a lot of dollars, a lot of time looking to, you know, I taught yoga for many years. I looked to yoga gurus. I looked to this person, that person, this book, this corporation to give me something. and that's not being accountable. So really, personal responsibility and accountability is the more I fulfill myself and the more each of us does that, we're full and overflowing to give to others. If we're walking around depleted and empty, volunteering ourselves, giving to others, it's empty giving to empty. So the more we really fulfill ourselves, gives ourselves what we want, make ourselves the priority, then we're full and overflowing to give to others. So I think that's the best way I can answer that. And some women might see that as selfish and greedy, but no. The only way to be selfless is to be selfish. Really give yourself fulfillment, be fulfilled and happy, and you're so overflowing to give to others.
Well, I think that also, like, I'm thinking about with my kids, when you're talking about, the last two questions we asked you, you kind of led into the being responsible, self-responsibility and being accountable to yourself. And, my kids are 24 and 21. And I think as they transition from that being at home into adulting, that's one of the big lessons we have to help them learn is you are accountable for yourself. You can't blame, everybody else around you. I have this conversation with both my kids a lot, not that they're sitting there whining and boohooing. My kids don't do that, but they're still young adults and they're still learning how to handle the world and their place in it. And I'm always telling them, no, you can't put that on that person. You have to take that.
Sure. Yeah. And the great thing about being a parent, and not only did I raise my own 3 kids, but I led parenting empowerment groups for families for 25 plus years. Wow. And what I saw in the collective, what I saw in myself was that the more we're living it, we could talk, but it's being it. And another thing that I really appreciate is our definition in the self-discovery life mastery process of true success is effectiveness plus well-being. And when I look at some great, youngins in their 20s, their 30s, they have effectiveness. They've got the bank account, they've got the career, they've got the car, but they're lacking in the well-being. And it might be something like, I'm not feeling fulfilled, or wow, I feel some anxiety. I can't quiet my thinking mind. So that's why true success is effectiveness plus the well-being. And a lot of well-being is lacking in what's out there. People are feeling at the effect of their fears, their worries, their what ifs, and that breaks down your immune system versus living with appreciation, sovereignty, freedom, and fulfillment. That's going to boost your immune system and you're going to be invincible.
Yeah. Oh gosh, we could go on a whole conversation about that.
Absolutely.
Affecting your immune system.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, I love having you on today. This has been fantastic.
I knew when we were looking for people, I'm like, this is one that we definitely want to hear. She is a super wise woman with lots to share.
Sure.
So it's time for our takeaways. So I'm going to go first because when we come to the self-care portion, I love how you shifted that to personal responsibility. Because I think when you word it that way, it does shift it to that, like, we have to take care of ourselves. It's not selfish. It is a responsibility that we need to do. We need to take care of ourselves first. Because if we don't, we're not going to be there for everybody else who could use our help. And so I loved like the switching the words for it. Like I think it makes it more powerful. So thank you for that, Corrine.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was your takeaway, Allyson?
Well, I was between that and the fact, well, it kind of all tied in together. So Corrine, when she started talking about that, she talked about being present. And I think, and that self-care, being present in where you are at. And I think that's one thing I have truly struggled with over the years, and something that I'm getting better at. This morning is a perfect example. I looked at my to-do list and I went, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. And I thought, no, you cannot, it will get done. You need to be present with everything you're doing today. So when you get on and you do this podcast live stream with the girls, you need to be in that moment. And I always remind myself that if I stay present, I always walk away with something I never expected. I learned something I never expected because I'm fully intentionally paying attention. I mean, I'm paying that attention to it, and I'm really learning from it. If I sit there and I think about all the other things I have to do, I miss something. Yeah. So for me to just take this 20 to 30 minutes and be fully present in what we're doing has already made my day phenomenal. So thank you.
There you go. Wow. Yeah. And in hearing what you just shared, Allyson, and what you shared, Julietta, that when we're present and aware, and it's nothing new, it's how we were as children, it's our natural way of being, it's how animals live. Solutions come easily. Life is more ease, more flow. We're deliberate. We're more intuitive. Life is more magical. Serendipity and synchronicity happen in the space. We get more done in less time. So instead of that overwhelm, that's why I really appreciate the self-discovery life mastery process, which is what I train people in. It is to live in the present moment, so that instead of worry, fear, stress, we're living in all possibility, intuition, and inspiration. And that's my takeaway, really appreciating what I train people in, because their lives have changed in a transformational way, and really appreciating that there is a way out of whatever it is that people are experiencing that is limiting them, and this is the answer. So I so appreciate you inviting me here today so that I can share what I do. And I'm very passionate about people living their purpose, playing full out and living their potential, and boldly living their greatness in their own unique flavor.
I love it. You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I also want to invite you all to go to our YouTube page and subscribe so you don't miss any of these amazing episodes, because we promise we're bringing on all amazing women who have tons of wisdom to share with you. And, and this goes back to the comment of, we're here to lift each other up and support each other. And, I'm such a big proponent of, we need to wake up the sacred feminine on the planet right now to really heal the planet and make it a better place for all of us to be.
Thanks so much for listening to our show today. If you enjoyed what you heard, please subscribe so you can get the support you need in becoming the goddess you are meant to be. Check out the show notes for information on how to connect with Allyson or Julietta, as well as for links to resources mentioned in the show. Have a magical day.
Please subscribe and share these videos with your friends. And we look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you, Corrine. Thank you, Allyson.
Thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.